What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest Jujustu Kaisen chapter review, chapter 178, and I apologize that it is so late. I have been relocated to my wife's office because I'm renovating my studio, my office, etc., downstairs. So this was a last minute, just grab the computer, grab the webcam sort of idea, and set up here last minute sort of on Friday. And I didn't have enough time after doing the Kengan stream to do the review for Jujustu Kaisen yesterday. Now, and it's really late now, Saturday, just trying to get this review done. So, but it's really unfortunate too, because not only did we get an early Jujustu Kaisen chapter, which was peak, I wasn't able to review it until the weekend anyways. But this chapter, so far, it's a twofold chapter for me, because it's setting up chapter 179 to be... Right? We can all agree on that. Can we all officially agree chapter 179 about to be some peak level shit? That is undisputed. That is going to be awesome. However, a little bit of a disappointment here in this chapter. A little bit of disappointment. Number one, because what were the two things that people have been arguing about Yuta's character? There's the Yuta haters that are just idiots over here, but then there's this camp that actually like Yuta, but they debate the question about, is this really Rika, is this not? And does Yuta have a domain? Is it the simple domain, or does he have his own unique domain, or would that be too OP, right? These have been like basically the simple questions about power scaling Yuta, because we didn't know enough about him. Right now, I think that there's just, in this chapter, we get confirmation about Rika. So why don't we go through that stuff? In this chapter, at the beginning of the chapter, of course, Rika is fully manifested. Still with a little bit of a new design, but looks similar to the design from Volume 0 now that Rika has been fully manifested through the power of the ring. We get the explanation of this. And it nerfs Yuta a little bit. And I don't really know why. Like, I watched Misk's videos on this, and I watched a couple other people, and nobody that I normally watch for Jujustu Kaisen has actually added the question as to why. People have been saying this is a bit of a nerf, but it's counterbalanced by the fact that Yuta has a domain expansion. In my opinion, it's sort of like, well, no, he still gets nerfed normally sort of idea. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the 5-minute thing, okay? I'm talking about the 5-minute. Is that Rika is apparently an external storage, right? Of curse techniques and curse energy, and we get the rules surrounding this. So it works a little bit different than the way Yuta used her in Volume 0. And this is because that Rika, the true Rika, left, for all intents and purposes, this is Rika. At full manifestation, this is still the Queen of Curses, okay? There is no reason to believe she is any weaker. If basically she should be just as strong, if not stronger, at the worst, she's just as strong as Volume 0 Rika. She can't be any weaker because it's stated in this chapter that this is after Rika was released at the end of Volume 0, right? When Rika, this is a copy that she left behind for Yuta to use. So in that sense, it's every bit. The only difference between this and Rika herself, her soul is not trapped within this Rika. But this Rika is basically a copy of everything that Yuta... So it's still Rika. It's a parting gift, so to speak, right? Okay. I don't mind that. I like the blessing idea a little bit more myself that I was talking about before. But this idea, okay, I didn't really hear this one from a lot of people. I heard people saying that Yuta recreated Rika with his own abilities. But that one, I never liked that one because that means Yuta went a little off the deep end. And he just doesn't seem to that way. But this way, Rika is officially Rika, okay? She's still Rika, she's just soulless Rika. But I mean, then it's sort of like, if it's a copy and she's acting like her, and it's for all intents and purposes, this is Rika. For power scaling reasons and story reasons, this is pretty much Rika. It's a copy of Rika as the Queen of Curses. So, it's still Rika, okay? The problem is the 5-minute thing, right? So, the limitations, and I'll list them right now, is... when he's connected to Rika through the ring, he's able to use the curse techniques, which of course, he can already use reverse curse technique without this. We already saw that. He's able to fully manifest Rika. So Rika at her absolute strongest, right? And obtain Rika's cursed energy for himself. That one, That one's a little iffy. I'm going to wait for the viz on that one, exactly how that's worded, because that's implying a few different things. But for the most part, this basically means is that this is Yuta at his peak. But the state only lasts for 5 minutes. The thing that I don't understand is why. Maybe I misread Volume 0. I haven't read it in a while. Maybe I should have read it before, but I really don't have the time. Why? Why is there a random nerf to Yuta being peak? Now, I'll tell you the reason I believe this to be the case is because Gege himself hates Gojo. We all know that, right? So he sealed him away because he was too OP. When he wrote Yuta in Volume 0, he made him basically too OP. And even though Yuta's a badass right here and he's super strong and everything like that, Gege needed to find a way without doing basically a double Gojo, doubling down on the whole, oh, now Yuta's too strong, got to seal him up too. Had to find a way to nerf Yuta. Give him a time limit on his full capability. Give his Volume 0, 100% Rika, Queen of Curses, manifestation. Give that a time limit, right? Give that some Gear 4th level time limit shit, right? The problem I have with that is it's painfully obvious to me that it's a nerf, so he doesn't have to seal him. It's ridiculous because I have no... This is the one flaw with this chapter for me, is that there is no reason there should be any time limit. If anything else, Yuta should be far stronger. So randomly, because Rika gave a carbon copy of herself to Yuta, all of a sudden using any of that ability is all of a sudden a time limit. But when it was the real curse, when it was the true her, and he was untrained and not even trying, all of a sudden he was able to go buck shit wild with no time limit and no threshold. Like, I don't... This is the one thing I haven't heard anybody argue about. People have admitted, a lot of people have admitted that this is a bit of a nerf, but nobody's asking, like, nobody's questioning how stupid it is. It's a dumb nerf. Why 5 minutes? And where did the time limit come from? Why is there a time limit? He didn't gain anything that he didn't have in Volume 0, but there was no time limit in Volume 0. So Yuta got weaker randomly after Volume 0 with realistically no explanation. Like, that's the thing. There's no explanation as to why all of a sudden there's a time limit on this copy of Rika. There's literally no explanation. The weakest explanation, which is not stated in the chapter and everybody can theorize, is the fact that, okay, well, this isn't really Rika since it doesn't have a soul, now there's no time limit. But doesn't that seem like basically just a cop-out that's trying to explain away, like, oh, well, since it's not Rika with a soul, it's completely a Rika, the Queen of Curses, it's the complete curse, but she doesn't have her soul, so there's some random 5-minute time limit. You see how that doesn't really, like, even manga logic-wise, why would there be a time limit? Why would there... This is, once again, as I said, at the end of the day, it's a nerf. We all admit it's a nerf for the most part, other than Yuta haters or whatever, and they're a weird camp over there. But for the most part, we all admit that this is a nerf. I just think it's a really bad explanation. We didn't even get a good explanation of the nerf, right? So anyways, but there is a good thing that sort of, as I think Miss Content pointed out, he sort of negates the nerf and puts him back up. He was like in a -1, now he's back up to neutral, is the fact that Yuta officially has a domain expansion. And I'm pretty confident in saying it's not a simple domain. I'm pretty confident in saying that. So he does have his own domain. What does his domain do? We have no idea. There's going to be a lot of theories about that. I've got a lot of theories. Not enough time to go through them all, but I definitely think it's going to be a unique domain. And I never doubted for a moment that he had a domain. There's no reason. I never understood the argument. People always said that Yuta doesn't need one. Why? Because he's broken? Why? Because he's got Rika in the same way. Well, Gojo has the 6 eyes, still got a domain. Yuta's got Rika. Why wouldn't he also have a domain? That was the worst argument I ever heard, that people said Yuta would be too OP. He's got Rika, he doesn't need a domain. And it's like, it's not that he doesn't need one, but why do you argue that he wouldn't have one? It just makes no sense. He's a prodigy, he's a genius. Seriously, he wouldn't have a freaking domain? It just doesn't make sense, right? It's like basically giving somebody not having a Bankai. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You have one of the strongest characters in the verse, and they just don't have a Bankai. Like, it's like, no, they never needed to use their Bankai. Not that they don't have one or can't learn one, right? So, in the same regard here, it's very exciting that we're going to get a triple domain expansion for next chapter, chapter 179. But I just wanted to clear that up because at the beginning of the chapter, I really have a bit of a problem with the nerf only because it doesn't really make real sense. You know, I don't mind the explanation about Rika. It's not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of the explanation for Rika, but I can accept it. I don't accept the nerf having a very good explanation. It's a little weak sauce. We're going to have to accept it, of course, and I'm not going to harp on it after this video, but unless it, of course, becomes an issue in a later fight, of course, then we can talk about it. But, yeah, I just don't like the random timeline being attached because they wanted to nerf him. Like, that's the explanation. It's not got a good in-universe explanation, I guess. But the fight this chapter actually goes really well. Yuta reuses, Inumaki's, cursed speech and stuff like that. It's really cool. They recognize it. Rika they beat the shit out of poor Sky Girl. Sky Girl gets the shit kicked out of her. And now Yuta and Rika are able to fight simultaneously. Now, of course, this is in the 5 minutes, right? They only have 5 minutes to do all this shit. But pretty much kicking some ass. And Rika beats the shit out of Ryu pretty good too. Though Ryu manages to actually get a solid hit off on a fully manifested Rika. That was shocking as hell. That was one of the biggest shockers of the chapter, I think, is that this man managed to fucking smack Rika and send her into a roof. Now, it didn't really do her any damage by the looks of it, but goddamn, like the fact that he managed to do it is insane. And then, of course, we see that Sky Girl believes, of course, that Yuta's ability is mimicry, right? It's the mimic power. It's we've seen this in many shonen before, and usually sometimes it's done to good effect, sometimes due to poor effect. This is more an explanation. Sky Girl is assuming, right? Like, people are going to take this as factual that his curse technique is mimicry. Now, is it? There is a lot of evidence to say, of course, it is. That's part of his ability, but it's, of course, as we know, Yuta has more than just one curse technique in that regard, because he can utilize multiple curse techniques, of course. So, is this his true curse technique? Is it part of it? I mean, it's a good explanation as any, and it's a good way to simplify that Yuta can basically, copy any curse technique that he lays his eyes on, right? So, because he ends up using DeVrol's technique, which is from the hair, cast some mini Rikas to go slash and stuff like that through the hair, and anyway, it's not a bad setup fight for a chapter, because we see that Yuta is easily able to 2v1 utilizing Rika and stuff. Of course, I'm assuming that right now roughly around the 5 minutes are up, which I have a bit of a problem with unless we get an explanation later. In the list, alright, let's just talk about the end part of the chapter. So the end part of the chapter, everyone's going nuts. I would say that Sky Girl and Ryu are the most beat up. Yuta is sitting pretty on the top tier. He's sitting pretty. He's taking some damage, but once again, he's now going to take out the 4 strongest by himself. Well, with Rika, but by himself, he's going to take out the 4 strongest in the Sunday Colony like it was nothing. So, that's pretty intense, right? And the only reason he took any damage was because he was withholding his own power. He was limiting himself because he didn't want to reveal his own ability, you know what I mean? He was trying his best not to go all out until absolutely necessary. So, clearly in a 1v1, Yuta is going to beat any of these guys 1v1, which is really cool. So we're seeing Yuta at his badassery, and at the last page is a double spread that Ryu yells domain expansion, Sky Girl screams domain expansion, and Yuta with the ring, domain expansion. Just like confident and cocky. We see that they all use their hands, like the double hand thing, and it was pointed out that basically Yuta is just using the ring. He's just using the one hand or whatever. He's just using one hand, similar to how Gojo does it. He just uses one hand to launch a domain expansion, which is just, once again, reminiscent of the similarities between Yuta and Gojo. But It's a great spread. It's hyping up Chapter 179 like it's not. It's going to be super awesome. One of the other issues I have here is the fact that in the list of things that fully manifesting Rika in the 5 minutes allows Yuta to do, once again, he's able to use reverse curse technique. He's able to use cursed output and stuff like that. He's able to use his cursed energy. So there was no mention. Maybe they were trying to hide it, but why for only another 15 pages? It didn't say he needed to fully manifest Rika to utilize domain expansion. So maybe this will be explained when we get, of course, Yuta's unique, and I'm pretty confident, I'm sure you guys are too, I'm very confident that now that he's confirmed to have a domain expansion, never any doubt over here, but it's clearly not a simple domain either. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Does he need to fully manifest Rika to utilize domain expansion? If so, it was not listed that he needed to do that. So in Chapter 179, I hope they explain as to why, because other than just showcasing us the readers, okay, here's Rika, here's the answer to Rika, here's all the limitations. If he was going to use domain expansion anyway, there was literally no reason for him to fully manifest Rika for a couple minutes if he was just going to go, now fuck this domain expansion. If he didn't need to, is my point. So in Chapter 179, I hope it's stated, which once again would sort of, I don't know if I would like that nerf either, but the fact that he has to use the ring to manifest Rika to use his domain expansion, if that's the case, that's fine, but like, what's the reasoning if he was going to use domain expansion anyways? I don't know. Like, as I said, we need more information from Chapter 179 for me to either have a problem with this or not. But either way, yeah, it's still a super great chapter. Very exciting. As I said myself, I'm a little disappointed that Gege wanted to nerf Yuta. I'm a little disappointed because it's a bit of a weak sauce explanation for the nerf. But the explanation of what this Rika is all right. It's pretty solid. And that's information that we were all curious about ever since Yuta came back into the story. We all wanted to know, is this really Rika or is it not? What is this thing? Is it as powerful? Is it not? Well, with confidence, we can say this thing is just as powerful as normal Rika, and for all intents and purposes is Rika, even though her soul is still off to heaven, whatever, wherever her soul went. So that explanation, getting that out of the way, is fantastic. And the double spread that we're going to get of a triple domain expansion, Chapter 179, that shit is just going to be solid. This chapter set this up perfectly. We're at the tail end of Sundai Colony, I'm sure. After this, it'll be all good. I'm worried about one thing that I saw somebody else say, is that at the end of Sundai, of course, Yuta will win, but, he'll deactivate whatever, and he'll be just like, well, that took a lot out of me, kicking the shit out of 4 of the strongest characters we've seen so far in the verse and making it look easy, but damn, I'm friggin' tired. And then he gets shot in the back. If he gets hit, in the back of the head sort of idea, hit a man while he's down sort of deal. I'm a little worried about that. That was somebody else's theory, not mine, but that's sitting now in the back of my head that somebody's going to cheap shot Yuta, at the end of the Sundai Colony. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but now that I've heard that theory, now it's still back there. It's still back there, But what do you guys think? I think that this chapter was absolutely really, really good. Sky Girl and Ryu are going to, they're going to lose easily. I'm sure the domain expansion. Hopefully Misk is correct, and the fact that we got a weak sauce nerf of 5 minutes with Rika, but the domain expansion is going to be seriously broken. It's going to be really broken, and that's going to sort of fix the nerf in a way. Which, if that was the case, honestly, I would have been fine that Yuta didn't have domain expansion. You just give him full Rika again. But, without this weird time limit thing. But, you got to advance the story. You got to advance the powers. You got to do what you got to do. So, either way, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below, because I'm curious as to what you guys thought of this chapter. As I said, Yuta haters are going to, love that he got nerfed, right? And be able to say whatever they want. Yuta fanboys, like myself, are going to be a little sort of like, about the nerf. But we're going to accept it because it is what it is. And then there's the rest of the people in between that are going to go, well, at least he doesn't seem to be so broken anymore, and they'll be happy about that from a storytelling perspective, which is good. But yeah, let me know what camp you are in, and let me know what you guys thought of the chapter, because I thought it was pretty solid. I know I did a lot of complaining for the first part of this review, but it's just, once again, I feel like maybe the viz will fix this up, maybe the translation will be a little different, maybe chapter 179 will fix this up and explain a couple more things to me. Or maybe I just read it wrong. I've read the chapter a couple times here. Maybe you guys are I'm taking something away from it that's not there. You guys are, and you guys are like, what's Griever talking about? You know, it's written right here, black and white. Did you miss that part? And maybe I did. But let me know down in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I very much apologize for how late this review is. Hopefully, you know, with this new setup for right now, I'll be able to start, you know, getting the videos out again at a proper pace and proper schedule, at least temporarily until the office is done and I can move everything back down. So, that being said, like, comment, subscribe, drink responsibly as always, and we will see you guys back here next time for Jujustu Kaisen chapter 179, and it's gonna be a good one. 3 domain expansions. Let's freaking go. Wouldn't it suck if they were all simple domains? That suck. Okay, it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna troll you guys. You think you're getting 3 unique domains that you've never seen before? Nah, fuck that. 3 simple domains. Just to fuck with us. If it was, you know, it's getting close to April 1st. I'm just saying. But anyways, we'll see you guys back here next time. Oh man, this review is gonna be long. All right, bye bye.